Hello, good afternoon. My name is Barbara Bickham, and this is the perfect marriage between blockchain and big data. So, Ambre, thank you to all my lovely panelists. But Ambre, how does your company make it easy for end users to understand blockchain data?
Hi Barbara. Hi everyone. I run a company called Kaiko, and we're specialized in market data, meaning that we basically help people in the market answer the question, what is the price of Bitcoin? We're basically connected to every crypto exchange that is offering a platform for offer and demand to meet and create prices effectively. So that's the information we gather, taking executed trades and buy orders and sell orders from all over the different exchanges for tens of thousands of crypto assets, which we unify in a single place and make available for people. So it's really helping users understand not any type of blockchain data, but really the price of crypto assets, blockchain-based crypto assets. So that's what we do.
Thanks so much. Michael, how does your company make it easy for users to understand blockchain data?
Thank you. Yeah. So basically what we are looking at is like when I looked at the blockchain back in the days and looked at like how do we actually convey this kind of information? What I was thinking about is like there's a lot of, if you look at normal block explorer, you see a lot of cryptic information, you see transaction hashes, you see addresses, you see all of these things. What you don't see is that you don't see the entities behind them, because that's kind of underlying with the protocol that you only see all of these, pseudo-anonymous transactions and so on. So what we did is basically we cluster everything into big groups of what transactions belong to a certain exchange, what belong to another exchange. And now we can look at it in like layman's terms, where it basically just becomes big entities transacting with each other. There's kind of a line that says like, that's the funds that were sent that day to one entity to another. So basically dumbing everything down and make it way more simple for everyone to understand the blockchain.
Great. Bobby, how do you make end users understand the blockchain data?
Yeah, so my name is Bobby. I'm the co-founder of CoinGecko. CoinGecko is the largest independent crypto data aggregator. What we really do is we try to simplify market data tracking, and we track price, market cap, trading volume from a large variety of coins and exchanges. So we have one of the most comprehensive list of cryptocurrencies, and we're always on the lookout for new coins. So I think the easy way is we have one simple interface that allows everyone to search for all their coins and all the exchanges and all the venues that's trading all these coins. So at this point in time, we have close to 6,000 coins, and we track 400 exchanges, including the derivative platforms and decentralized exchanges.
Great. Fredrik, how does your company make it easy for end users to understand blockchain data?
Yeah, so at Dune Analytics, we allow anyone to create, share, and explore an analysis of what's happening on blockchains. So that means that anyone are free to go in and create their own analysis, and then you can share it with the community. So you can aggregate the knowledge of the community and utilize what other people are doing and collaborate to really find the details in new products, in novel ways. And it's all open and shareable.
Great. Jon.
Hi, thanks for having me. Yeah, sure. So I'm Jon Farjo, co-founder and chief product officer of LunarCRUSH. And LunarCRUSH, you can sign up at lunarcrush.com. And it aggregates community activity across many different sources out there. Things like Twitter, YouTube, Medium. We have probably the largest collection of news out there. We capture news from thousands of websites. And I'd say for us to make things easy to understand, it's more of a cultural thing that we implement internally. You know, users are always out there, I'm sure as Bobby knows, asking for coins constantly to be listed. But they have questions. What does that mean? You know, and I think the biggest thing is like, it's great to take that feedback, but we have an internal process of doing something with it. And, you know, we have a 12-month rolling product roadmap, but we update it every single week. and we update it with feedback from users that we internally discuss, and what makes sense, we implement, and we continually implement it. I'd say the other thing that we do is we're never done. Nothing we ever build is done. And so we have a never-ending process of continuous optimization. We have sprints and all of that. On some scenarios, we're doing code deployments every single day and making modifications to the interface, a lot of the times based upon user feedback. So that is what we do.
That's great. Thank you guys so much. So Michael, how does your company ensure the integrity of your data, the data that you collect?
Yeah, it's like, it's one of the things that's really core to us. So our product is being used by government agencies in 30 countries worldwide. It means that it's being used for investigations. It's being used for a lot of big cases you've seen recently in media, like the Twitter hack, like big child abuse material sites that have been taken down and so on. So we want to, of course, ensure that the integrity is really, really high. We get feedback from users if there's any like discrepancies in what we're doing, but also on top of that, we have a like 20-person team that basically only spend all their time into our data, collecting more data, quality assuring it, and so on. So that's the integrity of our data and how we think about it.
Great. Bobby, how do you ensure the integrity of your data with CoinGecko? You know, everyone's going there checking stuff out.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that a lot of people refer to CoinGecko is the pricing data, and then followed by the market cap data. So I think with regards to the pricing data, we rely a lot on the API that's provided by exchanges. And when we do that, we sort of trust and hope that the data that you return is same, is good. But sometimes, like this data that comes back is not the best data as well. And you thought that large exchanges, even large exchanges like Coinbase, sometimes would return back erroneous data. So we have to have some sort of algorithm where we need to check and detect outliers and remove them from any of these things before we count any volume-weighted average price in any of these things. I think the other big thing that comes out from this data is there's all of these exchanges, especially non-regulated exchanges that are doing a lot of wash trading. At this point in time, we are ingesting all this data, but what we can do is instead of sorting all these exchanges by trading volume, we come up with an algorithm called trust score where we look at various data points besides trading volume to sort of determine which is better or less quality, less liquid exchange. And to us, like a non-regulated exchange, trading volume is sort of like, can't really trust them anymore because a lot of them are sort of wash trading their data these days.
Yeah, that's good. That's good to know. So Fredrik, how do you ensure the integrity of your data?
So anything that you can find on Dune, you can reference back to the blockchain via events or transaction hashes. And all the stats you will find on Dune are built by open SQL queries. So anything that you see on Dune, you can actually inspect and see the underlying method that the community member used to find that data and pull that data. And then if you want, you can also reference that all the way back to the blockchain. So you will always have a chain from the blockchain to the actual statistic you're looking at Dune.
I think it's important, Barbara, sorry to interject.
No, go for it.
I think it's very important for people in the audience differentiating on-chain data, which is really where Michael and Fredrik get their data from, which is everything traced back to the blockchains where you can find the kind of original information with what Bobby and I, and to some extent John as well, but it's a bit different because it's more sentiment data, but to what Bobby and I get for our own data, which is market data. So we really heavily rely on what is published by exchanges. And, there's two types of, I guess, quality insurance that you can do on the data. One of them is really purely quantitative, which is, do you have duplicates? Do you have gaps in your collection, et cetera, for which there are technological solutions. And other types of kind of quality insurance on the data, which is much more qualitative than quantitative, and it's really about, is the original source of the data trustworthy or not? And I think that's one of the main issues in crypto markets, or at least has been for the past couple of years. we at Kaiko don't really take any judgment on like, is this a real trade or is this a fake trade? However, we do work a lot with academia and researchers and companies like Bitwise and like people that are basically leveraging the data to do some, to add some intelligence on the data and try to identify when you see wash trading, like kind of events, comparing order book structures with like actual trades and see if there's like large orders disappearing once you have orders on the other side of the order book that are appearing, etc. But there's really a difference between blockchain data, which is kind of hard-coded, hard written in the blockchain, and on-chain data where you kind of have the double risk of the technological issue on top of the original source of the creation of the data.
Thank you, Ambre. Wonderful points. John, did you have anything to add to that?
You know, the question is about integrity, and I think we break that into two parts. You know, we look at that presentation layer that a user is accessing. Do they feel that the data has integrity? Do they understand it? Is it cleanly displayed and understandable? Is there more that we can do there? So there's that side of it. And then there's the back-end side of it where things like machine learning and using narrow training to understand sentiment properly, or spam, or there's always a new game out there with giveaways. So what's a giveaway versus a serious post? And so we get into, you know, hand-trained machine learning processes where we have teams of individuals that review, and it gets smarter. And I think, you know, it's like if one day you're 70% accurate, you try to get to 71, and then you try to get to 72, and then you have your data scientists that try and tweak how the system works. And so we're constantly optimizing on the back end and constantly improving on the front end. That's really, if I had to break it down.
John,
Great.
can I ask, do you get generally like protocols themselves asking you to list them, or is it really from like a user perspective? Like the most demands you get, are they coming from the audience, or are they coming from blockchains that want to make sure you cover them?
Great question. I think it's a little bit of both. You know, you get really just aggro investors out there that they want their coin listed now, and they'll message you 19 times a day, DMs, and it's real fun to manage that. I love Bobby's nodding over there. We get it. And then there's the other side of it that projects that genuinely want to get listed, they want to do a lot more. They want to make sure that all their about info is updated, their team is updated, their URLs to all of the things that they have out there is correct. And that's been, to be honest, as far as the industry goes, that's been a weak spot that we've had feedback from the coins, from the projects, where there's a lot lacking and data is different on all the sites that they go to. So that's something that we've experienced a lot of, especially logos. Is something as simple as a logo, changing it 97 places, and then some message you back and some don't, and the logo's now a year old. So there's some simple problems out there that still haven't been tackled properly.
Well, that's interesting. So this kind of leads into my next question, and this, I'll throw this out to Bobby, and then everyone can chime in on this one. But so how do you help build the trust with end users on these blockchains, or about these coins and these blockchains that they're dealing with? How do you build end user trust?
Yeah, I think let's talk about the wash trading issue with respect to exchanges. So I think a couple of years ago, a lot of exchanges, especially Chinese-based exchanges, they were wash trading the data, and then aggregators like us, the traditional way, like an exchange and a coin or exchange that does more trading volume, larger trading volume, is generally referred to as someone that has larger liquidity. So traditionally, these data are not fake in the traditional financial system, and then you can sort of see which one is better that way. So a lot of aggregators like us, we sort by trading volume, but after like a couple of years, we realized that more and more of these guys, because they're not regulated, they realize they can just publish whatever they want. And then if they publish a larger volume, they appear at the top. So it comes to a point where we say that, look, all this data that comes in, if they're a non-regulated exchange, pretty much can't really trust them, because they can just report whatever they want. And that's what they do. They just put out a fake, very high trading volume and then try to appear at the top of CoinGecko. So we kind of have to start thinking really hard to see what we can do to fix this situation. So we had to come up with different algorithms. But no matter what we do with all these different algorithms, like, people are smart. Anything that gets measured sort of gets manipulated in the crypto space. So for example, at this point in time, we have this trending search that sort of tells what are the hottest coins on CoinGecko, like what are the coins that people are searching. So what happens now is that a lot of people are just going around and trying to spam our search bar just to have their coin appear at the top. So this is kind of the problem that we are facing right now, trying to see like, okay, what can we do to combat all these spammers and trying to make sure that the data that we display is still meaningful data for people in the space. Yeah.
Thanks. Wow. Fredrik, do you have anything to add on to that? How do you guys kind of build the trust for your end users with the blockchain itself?
Yeah, so I think there's another angle here, and that's like the actual products that are built on the blockchain, and most of these products are some kind of marketplace. So that means that the better end user experience will be the places where there's most activity. Most often, and this can also be like gamed or like inflated short term without actually being like a long term thing for that product and the users that want to interact with that product. So one of the things we do is to be like a neutral source for what's happening in these systems that are built on the blockchain, like smart contract products, and really allow the community to dissect and look into what traction is real, what traction is just like short-term, sort of a hype-based or some kind of schema to game user numbers. And I think that at the end of the day will build trust for the end users that want to interact with these systems and see what's real and see what's not.
Awesome. Jon,
So
how do you help build trust?
So if any of us went onto Twitter right now, we'd see what's in front of us right now based upon who we follow and perhaps a degree or two away from their network. You're capturing a small piece of what's actually going on out there. And you're not understanding, is that relevant? I should say, is that the right post that you're looking at? Are those the trending things that you need to be paying attention to? And that's just right now. So what if I told you, over the last 24 hours that there were 91,822 tweets on Twitter that related to Bitcoin. And that's what we track. And we track that over time. So it's kind of like we're going from a position of very little trust out there because people just literally see feeds that are algorithmically led, follower led, and they're not really seeing everything. So we kind of capture all of it. We classify it, we make sense of it, and then we classify it over time. So you can see specifically what happened. Are we higher or lower? We saw a dip in September with social activity for the most part. We saw the market fall for the most part. We also see that social activity and price moves are highly correlated a lot of the time. And so, without capturing that over a long period of time, to just rely on what's in your own personal Twitter feed to think that you may mentally understand sentiment is almost one of the biggest mistakes that investors are making. Is they follow a few people, they do some TA, and they trust them, and then they lose their money. So it's important to arm yourself with all this data and see a broad-based view of the market. And of course, there's other things out there that give you different metrics and different things, on-chain data and that sort of thing. We focus on community specifically, and that's our spot there to hopefully build that trust.
No, I think that's an important part of the trust as well. Ambre.
Yeah, actually, I just want to kind of take a step back and make a comment, is that whether it's community data, on-chain data, or market data, I think the important thing to note is that everybody here is pretty much bringing trust in crypto as an industry. And data is one of the, in my opinion, like one of the fundamentals, kind of infrastructure pieces you need to have for any kind of industry to develop. If you don't have clear, reliable, transparent access to information for any given industry, you just won't go there, right? I'm not going to start investing in a country if I just don't know if I can rely on information I get about this country, if I'm, in a new kind of strategy of investing in emerging markets or whatever. But that could be about a commodity, it can be about any kind of industry. For me, access to information is one of the fundamental blocks of any kind of industry, even just starting to develop. And that's how we bring trust in crypto as a whole, is really making information available so that people can make educated judgments and educated decisions, be it investing money, time, energy, resources, whatever it is, you need to have access to that kind of transparency and information. And the combination of everything that our companies offer is basically all blockchain data, with different kind of angles, looking into crypto from different angles, depending on who you are and what you need to know about the industry. And I think that's how we bring trust in crypto at large, is really by making this information available in centralized places, in transparent, actionable ways. Great. Michael.
Yeah, I think it's a really core question, and I really love what you said, Ambre. I totally agree with that sentiment around what trust is about. I would say that, so I built our company based on what happened in 2014 with the demise of Mt. Gox, that basically went bankrupt. You had $500 million that were lost, and no one knew where they went, and that created 2014 was the start of a crypto winter that lasted for several years. And the reason, so the sentiment for our company has always been that you build trust with end users and with people and everyone in the world, basically, for blockchains. And you do that by building trust within the leading institutions of the world. So if you have countries with, government agencies that thinks that you can hire someone to kill another president or whatever in using Bitcoin and no one can trace it, if you think that everything can happen with no traceability and there's no visibility into it, people don't trust this anymore. It's become super dangerous, and that was basically what happened in 2014. So what we doubled down on was basically saying, okay, we need to understand this by providing data. And data is like basically, as Ambre said, like this is all kind of data. We were curious just to understand what are the number of users in different countries. We have like a ranking index we released like a couple of, I think it was a month ago or so on. The country #1 using crypto in the world is Ukraine. They are followed by Russia. And then you have Venezuela higher on the list, and US is #6. Just like these things you could not say 5 years ago, you couldn't say it 1 year ago. And if you don't know these things, you don't trust an industry. That's just stuff you want to understand. You would also say crypto is money for criminals. Well, what is the number of criminals using crypto? 8% of the transactions. That's not a number you knew 5 years ago, you know it today. That means that build trust in the industry and trust with end users.
How do you, Michael, how do you identify?
Wait, hold on, Ambre. We only have a few more minutes left, so I would like to get to my last question, which is the most important question. So how do you guys see big data and blockchain evolving in the next 12 months? Because we only have about 5 minutes left. John, I'm going to kick this off with you, and then we'll kind of go around, everybody put their thoughts in.
So I think, despite all the ups and downs this year, we've seen social activity increase anywhere between 150 and 200% this year so far. And we see that just exponentially growing from here. The community just keeps growing. And what I mean by that is we actually track the number of individuals that post, not just the number of posts. And we see those individuals going up quite substantially. From our side, we want to expand our use of machine learning to get broader. We have very narrow use of machine learning. We want to chain it together and do very interesting things, transcription, all sorts of different things with what we're collecting. So and then maybe go deeper into classification and things like that. From a trading perspective, I think we're going to end up seeing a lot more AI-driven trading. There's some that I've seen scratch the surface. A lot of the bots that I've seen out there, majority are just, I'm not going to say too many bad things, but they're not good. And I think there's a lot of room to go there. And the more trading bots that use better, broader data, more real-time insights are going to do a lot better. And so I think we're going to see a lot more on that front. And a lot of, I guess the bottom line is just a lot more AI-driven experiences out there.
Awesome. Bobby.
Yeah, I think what we were seeing is that there will be an exponential growth of tokens in the coming months and years. I think what we are building at CoinGecko is really laying the foundation for a future where anything that makes sense to be tokenized, can be tokenized, will be tokenized. So I think we will see in the future and years to come, there will be not just 6,000 tokens, there'll be hundreds of thousands or millions of tokens in the future. And what we really want to do is trying to find a way to scale CoinGecko and gathering all this price data, market cap, trading volume information in a way that is scalable in the future. So yeah, I think there'll be a lot of challenges, but also a very exciting future ahead.
Awesome. Michael.
Yeah, so I think this is a unique opportunity because like we have had the joy of basically dealing with all the information in the world, having that available, being able to analyze that in a lot of different ways. And now we have the opportunity to do the value. So basically money and value being moved around in the world suddenly is freely available to everyone to analyze. And it means that it's a key opportunity to suddenly figure out like how are the money streams moving around in the world and how can we understand that. And we only started in the very, very early days. We are still in the very beginning of all of this. And there'll be a lot of opportunities here that's being unlocked right now. So I think it is like a super exciting next 12 months. I'm almost say like next 12 minutes as well. It's like everything goes super fast when you're in crypto, and this will be a fun year.
Awesome. Ambre, I'm gonna give you the last word.
Yeah, I mean, I guess to Bobby's point, you know, I also believe in kind of an exponential growth of the crypto industry. And there's something I like to say, it's part of like my kind of, when I talk about Kaiko, it's part of my initial pitch is really, we shouldn't kind of overestimate intelligence and underestimate data. And I think kind of the first layer in leveraging this information in smart ways is getting access to very good quality data. And that's kind of where we come in. Kaiko is really positioned as an infrastructure kind of company. We're not, I think we have a slightly different positioning with CoinGecko, where we're much more like API based. We don't really have a UI or a front end, but we try to just make data available in one place. And for me, that's the first step. Before adding intelligence to data, you need to have data you can really rely upon. And I think that's key. I mean, and we're talking about increasing amounts of data that's going to be getting more and more complex to aggregate and standardize and make sure it's there and actionable and available in a relatively seamless fashion for market participants. And I think that's really the piece we're trying to focus on at Kaiko.
All right, Fredrik, do you want a few seconds on this one?
Sure. I think that just like providers, like all of us in general, will be more important as blockchain scale and the amount of data scale. So it's been great chatting with all of you.
Thank you guys so much. This has been the perfect marriage, blockchain and big data. Hopefully we see it's still like in the honeymoon phase.